Landlord sued me to block my mortgage, so I made them pay for it. For 3 years, I rented the bottom floor of a 3-story house owned by a husband and wife landlord team. They were both real estate agents, and during that time, everything ran smoothly. I always paid rent on time, kept the place in great shape, and the only times we ever spoke were when something needed fixing. They seemed reasonable enough. Over time, I got a dog, my fiancé moved in, and I made sure everything was documented in writing. No issues at all. About 5 months before our lease was due to end, my fiancé and I decided it was time to buy our first home. We had our wedding coming up, and financially, it made more sense to own than rent. Out of courtesy, we told our landlords about our plans, and that we might not renew the lease. They didn't seem bothered, just very eager to act as our real estate agents. We politely declined, saying we already had a family friend helping us. That's when things began to shift. We found the perfect house, made an offer, and got it accepted. Once we were in the closing process, I gave our landlords the required 60-day notice, exactly as the lease stated. That's when they completely lost it. They accused us of trying to leave them in the lurch, sent angry emails, and within weeks filed a lawsuit claiming we had caused damages, even though we hadn't even moved out yet. Then came the real reason. They bragged that, as licensed real estate agents, they knew a pending lawsuit could block a mortgage closing, even if it was baseless. They told me they could drag it through appeals for years. It was pure leverage. I met with a lawyer who confirmed that while it was highly unethical, it wasn't technically illegal. Even if I won in court, I'd miss the mortgage deadline. In the end, I had no choice but to pay them $1,800 to drop it. We signed a confidentiality agreement, and the case disappeared, allowing us to close on our new home. But I wasn't done. I work as an engineer and often deal with municipal building departments, so I know my way around local housing codes. In our county, every rental must be registered with the township, inspected, and issued a certificate of occupancy. Older homes rarely meet current standards, so many landlords skip registration to avoid costly upgrades and taxes. So, I started digging. County property records were all online. Within an hour, I found 15 rental properties under their names. I spent a weekend taking photos of each one and crafted a letter from a concerned potential renter. The letter explained that I'd noticed foundation cracks and wanted to make sure the house had a valid inspection and certificate of occupancy. We mailed those letters to the code enforcement office, tax assessor, and township council for every single property. A few weeks later, my fiancée began receiving calls from several townships. She stuck to the story. She was a prospective tenant, just checking if the homes were inspected. Not one of the properties had been properly registered or inspected. And now that the concern was on record, the townships were legally required to enforce the rules. That meant immediate inspections, penalty fees, back taxes, and expensive upgrades for houses that were nearly a century old. Each property would need thousands in repairs to meet code. We never heard from our landlords again, but a few months later I checked public records out of curiosity. They had sold 7 of their 15 rental properties, several at a loss. It looked like the $1,800 they took from us ended up costing them over $30,000 in sales losses alone, plus fines, upgrades, and lost rental income. And the best part came from an email trail I had saved. During their threats, they'd sent messages bragging that the lawsuit was fake, but that it didn't matter since I'd paid to protect my mortgage. I had CC'd my fiancée on those emails, and she later forwarded the entire chain to the ethics department of the local and national realtors association, the same organizations whose logos decorated every page of their website. A few weeks later, she got polite replies thanking her for the information and confirming they'd be reviewing the case internally. We couldn't file a formal complaint because of the confidentiality clause, but we didn't need to. Months passed, and I checked their business site again. Every mention of the Realtors Association was gone, and according to the membership list, they were no longer part of the organization. They'd blackmailed us for $1,800, then lost their reputation, nearly half their rental portfolio, and a whole lot more than they ever expected.